This is historian Stephen Ujifusa. Welcome to the Wet Lunch on the High Seas. This past weekend, I attended my 25th college reunion. And I admit that when I was the night before, I was staying at a hotel in New York, and I had to be there on Friday at 9:30 in the morning to be part of the Marshals honor guard parade, to be at the head of the parade. It was a huge honor, and I'm very grateful to Chief Marshal Alejandro Casillas for choosing me and many other people who I was just amazed and happy to see for this honor. But I couldn't sleep the night before. I just was so pumped up with adrenaline, not knowing what I would expect. I knew I'd have a good time. I asked ChatGPT, what time do I need to leave New York to get to Cambridge by 9 or 9:30? And it said 4 in the morning. So I went to bed at 9:30 and just could not sleep. I think I slept about a total of about 2 hours. And finally, at like 3 o'clock, I said, you know what? That's it. I'm getting up, going to the garage, and I started driving. I could not think of a better way to begin my Harvard reunion than basically pulling an all-nighter, which is kind of standard operating procedure during exam period at Harvard. I saw the sunrise over I-95 and uh, parked in Harvard Square, and I changed into a morning suit and top hat, which was the uniform of the marshals and the honor guard. And I felt this energy, this tremendous energy. And when I walked into Harvard Hall to change, I just saw all these people I know, all that police people I knew. And it was like time had not passed by. And we lined up, uh, and it was just an amazing group of people I was with. Our chief marshal is a remarkable woman named Dr. Alejandra Casillas. She is a first generation college student. Her parents immigrated from Mexico. She grew up in Los Angeles. And she showed up at Harvard sight unseen. She got in, she just showed up. Family didn't have the money to look at colleges. And she said that she did not feel, she felt unseen largely at this place. And now she is a tremendously successful physician at UCLA. She does tremendous work in healthcare equity with the Latin American population in the city of Los Angeles. She's married to a wonderful person who is also a dear friend of mine, who's a scientist. And I felt tremendously honored to be part of this honor guard. We lined up in front of the John Harvard statue, took a bunch of silly selfies, and then we marched at the head of the parade, of the alumni parade. The 25th is the big one, through cheers and through just people clapping. We went up on stage, and I just could not have been happier with many of the people, to be with many of the people I was with. I mean, a lot of these people actually were people I knew from my freshman year entryways from Wigglesworth C and D. I was surprised at the concentration of people from that group. I also was happy to be on stage with my good friend Richard Freed, who is a classics major, is now as a teacher in the Boston public schools. And Dick is kind of what I call a guardian angel of old world strength and gentility. I just watch him walking around, talking to people at various reunion events, and I'm like, this is a good man here. I, of course, thought of the people that came before me. I mean, this is something that Alejandra touched on in her speech at the luncheon afterwards, after Alumni Day. I really wish that my father, Grant Ujifusa, was there. He was class of 65 to see this, to be part of this event. And like Alejandra, he showed up at Harvard. He had not, he showed up sight unseen because his family didn't have the money to look at colleges. And he showed up when Harvard was a lot whiter, a lot preppier. And he too felt like he was dropped in from another planet. And after a lot of struggle, he eventually rose to prominence and involvement in his class. And I wish he was there to see it. I also wish my grandmother Judy on my mom's side was there to see it. She was the daughter of Russian Jewish immigrants who placed a tremendous value on education. She was there at my graduation in '01. And I do like to think that our family has come a long way since the 1890s. So, but at the ensuing events during the course of the weekend, I was just impressed with the kindness, the humor, the candor of my classmates. About 800 plus of us showed up in Cambridge that weekend. And previous unions, people talked about their career accomplishments and this and that, but many of us now, or most of us, have dealt with some form of hardship or struggle. And it was wonderful to hear people being open about that. It made us all feel human. And there was a memorial service that Sunday that was conducted by a classmate of mine who's a Unitarian minister, my friend David Orr. And he reminded us that now we are closer to death than we have lived. And we've tragically lost 25 members of our class. That's actually uncommonly high for a class of 1,500. All sorts of tragedies. But I was telling someone earlier that when people ask me about how to survive life at Harvard and how to make the most of it, I would say, find your tribe. Work hard, but find your tribe. This could be a music group, a publication, a club, a sport, something, a rooming group, some anchor that's outside of the classroom. Now, some people can study all day and they're fine with that. But I think Harvard is sort of place where so much of the learning takes place outside of the classroom. Now, during our time there, we split it into all sorts of different tribes. I like to say that the sort of Harvard social scene works is you don't have a pyramid or a hierarchy. You have it's more like a Venn diagram where you have various bubbles that overlap in varying degrees, not exactly a set hierarchy. But I said to someone afterwards, after the memorial service, I said, we have now all become one tribe. And I was corrected saying, no, not a tribe. We've all become one family. And that memorial service was an extraordinarily profound and moving experience. I was also very glad that my wife and children got to experience it. I'm glad our kids got to play with my friend's kids. She knew a lot of people from the medical world there who were in my class, so that was good for her. But I did come away feeling part of something bigger, that there are other people here for me and we're all here for each other. And a great high, as someone else said, was we get lost in the day-to-day tasks of life, of work, of family, and it's easy to be isolated, even when you're very professionally and socially active at this stage of life. But when you walk into a big room and there are 800 people there, and all of a sudden, most people want to see you. They want to talk to you. And that is a tremendously affirming and rare thing where people do want to see you. And I will take that feeling and hold it close in the days and weeks to come to give me professional confidence. Of course, I was asked, like, what are you up to? What books are you writing right now? And rather than boring people about, about with history, what I would say is, you know, the story of Widener Library, right? And everyone's like, yeah, of course, Harry Elkins Widener, a book collector, died in the Titanic. I said, but how did Harry Elkins Widener's grandfather get so rich? And I would say he was the pioneer of the electric streetcar that transformed American cities. That's what paid for Widener Library. He wasn't just doing it to memorialize his dead son and grandson who perished in that disaster, but also to make a mark. And this was a guy who started off life as a butcher in the 1850s, 1860s. He built this thing designed by Horace Trumbauer, a Philadelphia architect, to make a huge mark at Harvard, as did his daughter-in-law. It's the biggest building in the yard. It's quite a statement. But that was built with Gilded Age innovation and also with strife and controversy. And it was nice to be able to frame my story in those terms. I had a uneven path to get to my point as a historian. When I graduated Harvard, I had a job offer at Bear Stearns in the equity research department. I'd worked there that summer. I had no idea what I was doing. I was a history major. I had not taken econometrics or any of these heavy quant courses. I was a words guy, and I guess I had done enough of a good job writing reports that they wanted to hire me. But I felt like I was going off this precipice, that I was doing something that everyone around me seemed to be doing. People were recruiting for investment banking or consulting. And I remember telling a relative of mine what I was doing. And he said, well, what happened to history? What happened to history? I kept that in my mind. But I started work there and I realized it was not for me. I rather stupidly, one could argue, jumped ship. I taught school for a couple of years. I went back to graduate school at the University of Pennsylvania. That's what brought me to Philadelphia. And I started working at a commercial real estate firm. Wasn't particularly thrilled with it, but it was practical. And I started writing on the side, and I just was drawn to this other Harvard person, William Francis Gibbs, class of 1910. And I was lucky in that my parents encouraged me to pursue this path. I was just very blessed that my father especially said, life is short, do what you can, take this gamble in your 20s. William Francis Gibbs, when he showed up at Harvard in 1906, he was under tremendous family pressure to do the proper and right thing and eventually become an attorney. And it took him a long time to eventually achieve his dream of becoming a naval architect. He would later say that I would not have amounted to anything if my father had not gone bankrupt. And that's what drew me to that story, was this person who was surrounded by all these expectations and decided, you know, I'm going to go off my own and give it a try. That book resulted in A Man in the Ship. And I won't deny that there was a fair amount of I could understand, I could relate to William Francis Gibbs in that struggle. And I was also just lucky to run into other classmates who liked my work, one of whom is Justin Pasquarillo, who is a director of the East Boston Social Centers. He was adopted as a small kid and showed up at Harvard and has just spent his entire career giving back, of doing good. I'm so grateful to Justin for hosting me in East Boston at the East Boston Social Centers when I was giving my book tour for Barons of the Sea. And a lot of that book takes place in East Boston at the shipyard of Donald McKay. And Justin uh, had a book talk for me. He got me into the house of Donald McKay, which still exists. We had drank port wine together in the dining room of Donald McKay's house, hosted by the very colorful current resident. Visited the shipyard there, and he wrote a wonderful piece, which I'll link in the description below, to about his thoughts about how to proceed forward after this reunion. I will also say that one thing I've learned, when I was once really struggling as a historian after hitting a real rough patch, my father said to me, "Well, you're in show business. Suck it up. You have to keep going. Don't quit. There is no escalator in life, and those people that tell you there is an escalator are fools." And I'm a believer that when you are doing the right thing, even when it seems hard, the right people show up and guide you along the way. And I take that as a form of as a sign when people like Justin, Alejandra, so many other friends of mine show up and encourage me, then I think, okay, maybe I am not on the wrong path after all. And frankly, without their help, I would not be where I am. And that was the true feeling of gratitude I'm coming away from this weekend. So thank you to my family and the class of 2001, nicknamed the People's Class by our Chief Marshal, Alejandro Casillas. I am also just amazed that so many of my classmates, a lot of people have done very well, but almost everyone I ran into is also doing their best to do good during this very difficult time in American history. And we have confidence that this institution will endure and that our nation will endure because there are lots of people working very hard. And I will take this feeling I have and move forward as I work on my books and spend time with my family. So to the Harvard class of 2001, we are immensely privileged to be where we are. We came from all different walks of life. We were part of many tribes that now we've become one family. And I am going to hold that feeling close as I forge ahead. 25 years ago, the late Reverend Professor Gomes gave the baccalaureate address. And we all remember this. It's funny, it came up in discussion that he said to us, "Life is full of unfinished business. Get over it, get used to it, get on with it." And that's something I will do in the weeks and months to come. And also to stay connected with the many just amazing people who I have gotten to know during my time there. And it's the spirit of these people that keep the place going. This is historian Stephen Ujifusa. Thank you so much for listening.